guys to the third episode of Constructing Future, and today I have an honor to have here my friend and also a great entrepreneur, Jeff Cunningham from Changing Life Consulting. And thank you, Jeff, to be here.
Yeah, dude, honor to be here.
It's an honor.
It's an honor for me.
Thank you, Jeff, again. This guy, he changed my marketing strategy. He changed all of my future perspective about marketing. And today, I want to give you the chance to hear from the best in marketing.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's
My
an honor
pleasure.
being on here. So this is called Constructing Success, right?
Constructing Future, yes.
Constructing Future, I love it. I love the name of it. It's very brandable, very good name because it tells constructing future is what everybody's trying to do right now. We're all trying to construct our own futures. If someone's watching this right now, you know, a lot of times if you're lost or anything, you're not alone. Everybody's been lost at a time. Someone's podcast saved lives. One of the companies that we just did a partnership, influencer podcast, the podcast saved his life when he was homeless in a car. He was listening to him. He got Ed Milet, you know Ed Milet? Mm-hmm. He got Ed Milet to book on his podcast. So shout out to Nathan there and everything that he's doing with his success and working hard at his time. If he's listening or someone's in that spot, sometimes something you hear on a podcast like this, take notes, can change your life, you know?
Yeah, of course. You never know what you hear from people that it could change your life and the trajectory of your future. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, Jeff. And today, I think the main topic it would be tell your story about your branding mm-hmm. and how you integrate your story in your podcast. Is that correct?
Yeah, so if you don't know me, I apologize. I'm Jeff J. Cunningham, better known as Jeff the Entrepreneur. For a while, I wound up starting a podcast just with Zoom and not knowing telling a story. And there was a great thing, if you don't remember, tell your old story to new people every day. And a great way to do that is we're doing it now, but also doing it on a podcast. And when you're doing a podcast, you're hosting a spot of it. The Make More Money podcast was the first one I did. Actually, the birthday party that I invited you, Brian Breach, he was the first guest on it. I shudder anybody go watch that episode because I was just filming that in a broken down house, and I rented out lawyer's office to record it, and they kicked me out the next day because I was working till 2 a.m. True story. I'm very upset about that. But basically, I wound up telling this story every single time in the podcast. It was a chance to tell my story to someone of note that then the people watched it again. We're sitting here in Miami. I wasn't in Miami. I'm from Connecticut. My older brother, Jason, me and him had a dream to build a business together. He said, Jeff, you're an entrepreneur. He had a dream to get back his family to build this coffee shop music studio. And we wrote on a napkin. I was a teacher at the time. And long story short, my old brother, after he wrote on a napkin, we had the whole plan doing. I went to wake him to get a haircut. My older brother didn't wake up. He died on drugs, fentanyl. Yeah. And that shelled me. And then I went to a bunch of like multi-level marketing things after a while to try and figure out business. And that's when I heard tell your old story to new people every day. Podcasts weren't what they are now. They were just starting out. This was back in 2016, I believe. And I decided to start one. I started the almost daily Jeff J. Cunningham podcast, and I watched the analytics and the data, right? Always, you know, as marketing, you always want to look at certain data. After a while, I stopped caring and worked more about my name than the data, so you can get caught up in the algorithms. But almost daily, I noticed that money and sports were the most. Actually, before then, I had the social media sports mix. That was my first podcast. It was a sports podcast.
Nice.
And then I realized I wasn't so passionate about sports, but business. So I did the almost daily Jeff J. Cunningham podcast. Every day we actually did one. And the Money Monday got the most views. So then we went into the Make More Money podcast, had the guy Brian Breach on there, and everything changed after that. For that, having that on and telling my old story to new people about me one day building this coffee shop podcast studio. Now it was a music studio. It's probably gonna be a podcast studio. Might be right here in Midtown Miami.
Right here. Let's do it.
Looking at places, right?
Let's do it.
So that's what everybody's watching at the journey. And through that, there's a quote: if you help enough people get where they want, you'll get to where you want. And that's what I did, and that's what started a marketing consulting business. I help people tell their story, build an offer, and make connections, and run them through webinars and funnels and websites. And we have a whole marketing consulting firm now.
That's amazing. As a matter of fact, I'm one of the clients, you know, and through his call, he's helping me and guiding me, building my story as well. Because right now, we with this podcast and with this YouTube channel, I'm building a new consulting business for construction company, and Jeff is helping me a lot building my story, building all of my marketing content.
Yeah, to get your knowledge to the right people. So really quick too, I noticed your podcast. One thing I would do on your podcast is episode 3, right?
Yes.
I would start sharing your story right to me, even though I know it right now. You know my story. So I would say right now, tell your story. Even on your podcast, you bring, our boy Eric on or somebody like that. You tell it to them right then again, because getting the reaction of somebody on your podcast of hearing your story. Oh wow, you came from. So really quick, tell a little bit about your story.
Yeah, as you can tell, I have an accent. So I'm come from Italy, from a small
I love his accent.
Yes, 2,500 people, a small village. Nobody's there. Everybody know each other. My father was a butcher. My mother worked in a bank. As I grew up, I see always my point of reference was my grandfather. He was a guy that went through the Second World War, and he helped against the Nazis and the fascists, helping the Jewish people escaping from them. And it was a great story that stick to me, really, really into my blood, because as I grew up, you want to see a point of reference, somebody in your family. You have your brother, and I have my grandfather, and I always dream one day I'm gonna build something big. And today I'm here, sitting here with you, Jeff, in Midtown Miami. I already accomplished a bit, not a lot.
So much, dude, so much. Honestly, you stuck with the construction business a little longer than me, built it up to a bigger 8-figure success, right?
Yes, that's right.
Where I didn't stay in it as much as they. I kind of couldn't. I went off and had that. It was like, hey, I'm just going to figure it out. And here we are, present day, man.
Yes, we are here. 2023 is going to be just great coming in the future, I can tell.
Yeah, future looks bright, as Patrick and David says. He has the PBD podcast. They do really well. They do news, right? That's everybody's asked what they should do on a podcast too. So what is and I know I'm turning the questions on you, but constructing futures, right? What is the mission for this?
The mission for this is basically sharing knowledge as an entrepreneur as we are, because it's a lonely journey. Yeah. Entrepreneurship is a lonely journey. So if we share our knowledge together, if we create a community where we can share, you went through a lot. I went through a lot to build this business, to build this 8-figure construction business. I would start riding my bike and see my future client, by riding my bike and parking around the corner.
Yeah, same thing, man. I used to vision off same exact way. When I used to be sitting around, I used to vision exactly where I'm at right now.
So starting from there and getting to where I am, it's been 7-8 years of consistent trying to figure out, and that's where we are here. So if you can share just a few tips. For example, you sharing, you need to build your personal story like that. Yeah. That would be awesome for people that they just start, or they don't even know what's a personal story brand is.
Yeah, so we do and I've done it before. I've always done innovative campaigns, okay? An innovative campaign is something saying, hey, we're doing this. So if you have a podcast guest on, before you post this episode, you want to announce that you're having it on. Hey, we just did it coming soon, right? Big way to do it. It could be nobody, but if you announce something to a poster, there's something about putting it in right. People will pay attention to that. Hey, who's that person? Why are they special, right? Yeah. And then a lot of things, when you're starting, let's say you're slowly starting your podcast. We're going to be doing actually here in Miami, Podcast Mastery Unleashed. It's going to be, as we launch the J&J podcast, we're going to be launching the Kokomo J's podcast, and we're on YPTV. We are going to go for the simple thing. So the first thing you want to do is everybody gets so caught up in, hey, I got to buy the Sony A7s and have the whole nice setup. You really don't. If you go back and watch the Make More Money podcast that I have, you can watch it. I'm on Zoom, okay, and I just need a reach out script. So all you need is to title it, okay, whatever, construction futures. Then you need Zoom, okay, for a webinar. I'm just making it very simple. Obviously, you can get to this level just so people can start. And there's different features in Zooms where you can set them up so it's a 2-way camera and cutting them up a certain way for post edits. And then the third thing you need is you just need a reach out script, right? How to get people on, right? For it is a lot of people now. I'm on Minect. Minect is an app where they can pay you for your advice, and they actually have podcast booking rates. And they just asked me, Nicole asked me to send a picture to me just actually before I forgot on my phone. But that's a way you can actually now put out a rate for your time. As you know, if you're getting in the consulting business, and maybe you are in the consulting business, one thing you want to do is value your time very well. And a lot of times what I know is why I shut down or said no to be on so many podcasts was because people just wanted the information, and that's what I was getting sold for. So I didn't know until I had the 100K formula, my digital course out, I couldn't do it. So a lot of times, 3 things you need really quick is the title, right? A title on it, and you can title whatever it is, whatever the feature is. Could be more clear is better than clever. Remember that clear is better than clever. So like Construct the Future is a great title. Make More Money Podcast is that. Then you're gonna wanna just have one way to record it, okay? And then pick up platform, you can do it. And then the third thing, we use Anchor FM where it puts it to everything. But then the third thing you wanna do is you wanna have, a reach out process to get people on, right?
That's great.
That's the first thing to start.
So those 3 tips, I think if somebody just starts, those are the great
and
tips.
the best thing you could do for your brand. Podcast for brand is amazing because in that point, it's in a very simple way, you can do 2 things. There's 4 C's, okay? You have content, code, collab, and connections, right?
Okay.
And capital. Content, code, capital, and connections. And content and collabing is what we're doing. We're doing content and we're collabing right here. That's the best way to grow. Code is when everything is like, the system setting it up. That's the harder part, right? It's red. And then capital is sales, right? That's one-on-one usually done, right? When you collab with leadership, that's when you grow exponential. So that's why the reason why to build a brand is you're able to collab and do content at the same time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing those tips to our guests, here at Constructing Future, because I really feel like every entrepreneur, everything starts from marketing. So if you are not great to be able to brand yourself out in the marketplace, you never get the leads, and then your sales team never be able to convert them, and then you cannot produce it, and then you cannot have cash flow, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So what you suggest, okay, you give the 3 tips already. What you suggest, like somebody, let's say, just start and doesn't know nothing about marketing, what you suggest he should do beside those 3 tips that you just say in marketing?
Yeah, so you're doing them right now, and it's very true. Marketing is senior to sales. Even my Uncle G says that, right? It is, because if you take a low-level sales guy and you give him enough leads, he's gonna figure out how to sell it eventually, right? Take a high, if you're really good at sales, but you have no leads, then you're sitting around lonely, right?
Yeah.
So marketing is senior to sales. And because of that, the things you wanna do in marketing, very simple, and there's so much. Marketing in 360, people get overwhelmed because there's so much to do.
Yeah.
The first thing you wanna do is market research. You wanna know who you're talking to, and it's a demanded product, okay? So you wanna see who's out there in the market. Then the second thing you wanna do is you wanna tell a story to that red ocean, to that market, right? So if I'm gonna build a coffee shop here in Midtown, Kokomo J's, and I'm my brother, right? I'm gonna build it out there, KokomoJ's.com, you could all go open the coffee. We build it. I'm gonna now do market research of Marie's down here in Midtown, Starbucks right there, the Passion Coffee place in Spanish that I can never say its name for, right? That I always meet people for coffee there. If you do that and I watch what people say and I'm doing research, seeing what they buy, that's like the first part. Now I'm gonna tell a story on why my coffee is different than everything else. Why it's just more special. Story of my brother, right? Marie's has their story. So their story is a big part of marketing. So first part is actually the market research and who your serving client is, knowing who that is, and then telling a story to connect that client. If you do those two things, and then for the sales team or guy, you have a really good offer, right? We're looking over an offer, people will buy. Very similar, we go to, making this layman terms, we go to Starbucks, and Starbucks, because their brand's so big, they can charge a $6 coffee, no problem, right? Every day, all day. But that's also branding by being known. Probably didn't start out that way when they started. Actually, there's a great book, Starbucks, that I read with Howard Johnson that tells all of exactly how he got to where he is. So you want to have a good offer, and because Starbucks can charge it, if you go to that, now they set the standard. So now the Passion Coffee place can sell a coffee for $6. They're allowed to, so they have more markets. So it actually helps them to have a couple coffee shops in the area, right? So and there's a lot of zoning regulation, and they let people and do stuff when you come into business that way. The great thing about creating a digital product online is there's less regulation on there, right? So you can go just create a good story, okay, build an offer, and really do the market research on it too. A lot of times people don't really talk about how important that is. Very similar in the book coming out, Getting Rich Recession, I tell a story about a lady who had a Bolivian restaurant. I went and sat into it. She was one of my former cooks. They mortgaged their house. They built this Bolivian restaurant. I get in there. Food was good, and nobody's around. It used to be, do you know Margaritavilles?
No.
So it's a Margaritavilles, very popular American restaurant. restaurant, right? They used to be that. And she's like, oh, this is great. There's no Bolivian restaurant in the area. And I looked at her and I was like, well, if there's no Bolivian restaurant in the area, I said, how do you know there's a demand for it? And sadly, the business went out of business.
Wow.
So you want to do the research beforehand.
Great tip. So before open every type of business, you want to look at your red ocean, which Jeff suggests me to read Red Ocean, Blue Ocean book.
Yeah, Blue Ocean Strategy. Great
Blue
book
Ocean
for marketing. I got to write something on marketing. It's funny, whenever I recommend another book, I'm like, man, I'm behind on writing these books, but in marketing, it's one of the top books to read.
Well, right now you're coming up with your ebook, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What's it going to be called?
So the ebook, and it's going to be on Amazon, it's called the 100K Formula. Okay?
100K Formula.
And the whole point of that is, Alex Hormozi?
Yes.
So Alex Hormozi, who actually has a great podcast as well too, I forget what it's called, The Game, okay?
The Game.
Great podcast. Listen to anybody should listen to that podcast right there. Actually, I got to put that on YPTV. He's been a huge help to me and to so many in our space, right? But he came out with 100 million offers, right? And it was just simple on that. So in the very thing, 100K Formula is just showing how you can add 100K to your business, right? We've done it for ourselves. We've done it for other clients. Obviously, a day is great, a month is great, but just even adding 100K Formula, these are the 6 steps. So we put it in a book for it. It's probably going to come out. We got to get Amazon and a platform to probably be on in a couple months.
Nice. I can't wait to read it.
Yeah, it'll be really good.
It will be really good.
Yeah, finally.
Yes. So again, this guy is the guy that you want for marketing. And I'm telling you a little bit about a story about that, because in my construction company, as I said before, the biggest struggle was always marketing. And we spend a lot of money in leads generation. We spend a lot of money in company like Marketing 360 and all of those big names out there that they promise you, hey, we promise you 100 leads, we promise you this, we promise you that. And I never seen really the return of the money out of those things. But when I met Jeff and when he told me about you need to build your story and connect it to the needs of the people that you have around in your industry, that really caught my attention.
Yeah, no, it's so crazy. So the reason why I started Change Life Consulting, a marketing consulting firm, right? Now we do business consulting, we do hiring, we have a VA business now. Shout out to Shalom and Nathaniel, who are amazing.
Nice.
But with that said, and by the way, that's a way to market your business right there. I'm on a podcast, I'm marketing out a business that's on life support that, hey, are we going to keep this on? We'll be fine. But even that, saying it's on life support, is doing the dramatic of, hey, we need help for the business, a call to action. So marketing, every word you say is very important. And a lot of times, what made me start Change Life Consulting, I work for a construction company. I don't want to say the name, they wanted me to be a referral of their company. And they basically did the same exact thing to this business owner. And it made me so mad. I didn't know about backlinking or a few different things, so I couldn't best advise him. He brought me to the meeting. He spent a lot of money. They charged him, bank of hours, the whole deal. And I saw him not get his return. And I was like, you know what? When anybody works with me, I'll refund their money. This is how I started, right? Yeah, I started very simple. This is a no-brainer offer. $250 you pay me. Now you can pay me on Connect about that rate. $250 to make $2,500 of your money back guaranteed, right? And that's what we started doing. When you do that, when you have a good risk reversal on everything, which is basically you take away the risk, it's a money back guarantee in marketing. It makes it way better, right? Makes people trust and buy with you more. But really, customers feel soul, and where they feel soul is in your story, right? So when I went to that marketing business, I don't want to talk bad about it, but there's a lot of them out there. And it's so funny. So many people tell me, oh, we didn't know the story. I'm like, how are they not saying this? Marketing is all storytelling. Like, it really is. And I'm like, how did they not say it? And I'm like, oh, this is perfect because God was saving them for a point to work with me and then it'd be that way. So it works out in one way or the other.
No, that makes more sense. And as you see, like Grant Cardone and all of those people, every message, every offer that they then launch, they starting with this.
Alex Hormozi, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins. I was just breaking it down with one of the guys, George. He has like a passive income type deal course, Investors Den. And me and his CMO were on the phone and I'm consulting on everything. And we're talking about like Tony Robbins. You know Tony Robbins' story about the Thanksgiving match? It was right around Thanksgiving, right before then. And he's just like, oh yeah, he's like, I had my own Thanksgiving story. And he started telling, how he did this functional family. Very successful guy. You would not know this. A lot of people connected to him. We connected right on that call over a story.
Yeah. That makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
So something else that you want to add to the audience, something that you feel they need to learn about marketing, or something that you want to add?
Yeah, so really simple. Marketing's changing. AI and marketing is crazy right now. I can't even keep up. We built out an AI consulting firm within Change Life Consulting just to monitor AI tools and do it. If you're doing a podcast, right, and you're starting on your brand, knowing the AI tools that work, right? There's an app. Do you know the app Captions?
No.
So Captions is an app you can download. You can actually take this video on YouTube. You can upload it without paying a lot of money for an editor, and you get AI. Go research. You know vidIQ? vidIQ. Do you know what that is? So it's a YouTube channel that uses AI to see it, right?
Okay.
So these are two tools that you can use. Okay. So a lot of the tools to keep up to date with somebody who knows what the tools are, because there's a lot of people like right now in AI trying to build. I don't think they're trying to build a bad product, but they're selling a product they can't use. There's one right now. I don't want to say their name, but maybe I will. Designer.io. It wasn't the biggest ebook. It helps you build an ebook. It was a nightmare. And it's funny. I heard it from June, who owns Viral Alchemy. He's one of the guys, and George. They both told me I still bought it anyway. It's like a cheap offer. And by the way, some when the cheap price is there, it's there for a reason. Nothing against. I don't think they try to put a bad product, but knowing the trends in marketing that we're going towards AI and really using the tools. So Captions and vidIQ are two ones that you can use right then to take some. We take this episode. Now all of a sudden I'm saying an anchor of like Alex Hormozi. You cut up that clip, you know, of that part. And the great thing at vidIQ, it'll be able, if people searching Alex Hormozi, right, and he's searchable, or Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk is in the news right now for going to see Benjamin Netanyahu. If I'm talking to Elon Musk and you just took this clip, and vidIQ will then read it, see what's trending, they'll cut it, they'll put captions on it, which is the way it keeps us all, we're all ADD right now, right? Keeps us, you entertained, and then you put up clips. Great person, Bobby, do you know Bobby Iwoff or whatever, the really good podcast? So Bobby, she's kind of a dick, sorry, I just shouldn't say that, but she is, to her guests on her podcast. She's a jerk to him. But she's this girl who invested, she had an interview with Mark Cuban on the floor, but it's her stick, right? She has no real crazy energy. Great case study to study podcasts. We're going to be talking on my new show, Podcast Recap, on YPTV, because she basically got really anchors, okay? She put them on, and then she put out all shorts. So a lot of things to do, and this is what we're doing with one of our clients right now, is just putting out shorts of the podcast full forward, because people see it and then give it a link and then tag it on so they can see the whole long episode later on.
Wow.
So you bring a huge following for it. You want to take some shorts out of this and any of the podcasts you have.
That's a bomb. I love it.
Yeah.
I learn something new like every time I talk to this guy.
Yeah, well, it's so funny that like I feel like everybody like knows it, and it's good that they don't. It keeps you in business, right?
Yeah.
But man, I love marketing, and the great thing about marketing, it never changes. Whatever apps I said this is, what they might be outdated. There might be something then, right? There was a great app called GetMunch.io that tried. You uploaded it and cut it in. Didn't really work out long term, and then they were upselling, so many edits and stuff, right? They're trying to make money in it. So you gotta really vet stuff where it is. In marketing, everything changes. So you really always have to be staying new to what's working,
That's great. So that's a really great tip, because always stay update, always stay like consistently on the top of the new things that are coming out.
Right.
And let's talk a little bit more about that, because you have also a VA business you just mentioned. So you're using your VA business and the AI to keep up with marketing, is that correct?
Yeah, so we train all the VAs. We just did one, the role of the indicator last week, and we train other VAs. I've offered to a few other of my clients if they wanted to do it. And we went over Claude 2.0. It's a AI software that you can upload a document to, and you can have it summarize it, because some of them in their tasks, their administrative assistants, that might be it. Part of the reason where the VA business came from, one of my mentors, friends, and business partners, Andy Ade of Progretta, the software, he had a VA business, and he was a great mentor and coach to it for a while. I actually found my virtual assistant, Shalom, through him. She was an HR person there, so she was very good at hiring it all. And as we're now building our production studio, and we're basically building our production team for YPTV and really going in on podcasting now, right? I have the Make More Money podcast. We're bringing it back. I have the Never Forget This podcast, but now we're going to go out big time. We're talking news headlines with the J&J podcast with my brother, right? My younger brother, Joshua's Growth, who's great, who's alive, and really staying in with the trends. So the VA business helps feed all that, right? So this way now, instead of like you going out, how we can save you money or anybody money, and we can give people jobs. And the Lord's put, I rededicated my business to God when I was in Colombia doing consulting. And when I did that, the verse Jeremiah 29:11 came to me, for I know the plans the Lord has for you, plans to prosper. And it was at the point when it was at my lowest, when I was at 0. And the next day later, everything changed. And it was as soon as I really gave it to God and said, hey, God, speak through me. I'm going to do this. It's going to connect me to the right people. And just things feel right when you work with people.
Yeah.
And it really feels like you're working on cloud 9. And the VA business is one of them, right? I say it's on life support. I market it that way. It's going to do very well at a time, because what we're doing is we're taking talent people, collecting the high talented entrepreneurs, and really just helping them produce, edit, whatever skill set they need, so they can focus on being the talent and we can help them. And it's really a match made in heaven for a few of them,
I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really it's a lot of work. We have an interview at 3 today. I have a sales consult at 1:30.
Yeah.
So we're in and out. I know this is a beautiful place. I could hang here all day.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for being here, because I know you're busy. I know you always.
I don't know what time it is, and I have a 1:30 thing. You know Gary Vee?
Yes.
So I love how Gary Vee's like, I got to catch a plane. I got to be out here. He was just on. One of the podcasts I give a shout out is Dan Fleischman's podcast. He has a trailer. Do you see a trailer park?
No.
So he's a trailer park, puts it in there. It's not a trailer park. It's like a UV.
Uh-huh.
It's called Money Mondays.
Okay.
And him and the real Tarzan are on it. Dan Fleischman, love that guy. And he had Gary Vee on. The point of it is some of these guys like Gary Vee are so fast. He called Gary Vee, and Gary Vee's like, yeah, I got 20 minutes, I gotta go. And I feel like Gary Vee right now,
Yes.
I'm going fast, right? I gotta slow down.
Yes,
Do I go too fast for you?
No, it's fine.
No, because I can go slower.
You can go slower.
It's boring.
It's just boring.
Yeah, like Vivek. You know who Vivek is?
No.
He's running for president. He's the Indian guy.
Oh, yeah,
and
you told me.
He speaks very fast. So, and you know Russell Brunson?
Yes.
So he speaks very fast. So all the time I used to look at these guys who spoke fast and be like, well, they did it. I could do it. The guy, a billionaire.
Yes.
They both are. Yeah, you can do it, but sometimes I'm not serving the right audience by doing that. So by being a little bit more pontificated how I speak, we can do that. And I encourage anybody starting a podcast should probably not start right off the gate,
With speed.
Right, yeah. I like the energy. I like people who have good energy. You have great energy, right? You have the great accent. I don't have that accent. I wish I did. But you gotta work.
But you also want to be you. You don't want to be fake. That there is so many fake people outside.
I know that's the biggest thing I hate, right? And everybody hates that, by the way, because you know what? Everybody at one point, and not to say that I call it faith it till you make it, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to faith that, hey, we're gonna have the business. This is gonna do it. We gotta look more. We gotta have the other number, right? Mm-hmm. But when you fake something because of like an insecurity and being like, which a lot of people do, we're all insecure, right? I walk funny, my teeth, I gotta get fixed up, and I have spots in the back of my head, right? Mm-hmm. I own it. That's it, man. I have insecurities too. I'm not alone out of anybody. I'm very say, hey, it's okay to be that way. If you just know that like you're really going out there in life to do it, really genuinely trying to help people, right? And really just come from a point of that. Don't be shy. People care, right? Mm-hmm. You gotta believe people care, because people care, you'll see it. I bought a course a long time ago before I started my Instagram growth software that I had. And it was a course, $9.97, I bought it. And it was how to fake post in a tight shirt, post a Maserati that you rent, and go buy fake followers, right? And then just recently, I was at this event, Break the Code. It was actually where I met a lady who broke my heart, but it's when I dedicated to be the richest man in the world. You have moments like that. But at the event, I met this kid, and he tried to sell me a software you want to be on my podcast? Hey, you have a podcast? Can I be on it? I told the story the other day. And I said to him, he's like, oh, your Instagram looks horrible, which we're getting it better, okay? He's like, I can bump it up to all this stuff with the software. And all of a sudden, I was like, yeah, I know what you do. You have a bot that does that. And as soon as I said that, a girl come over, is that Jeff the Entrepreneur? And she hugged me. And I said to him, does your bot do this, right? And my point, I put in the 100K formula, was just like, hey, if you build a genuine connection, at the end of the day, Instagram might go away, everything might go away. You can, listen, social cred, having a trophy, having a press release, buy it, do it, whatever you got to do, okay? At the end of the day, the genuine connection of that people remember you from is important. It's more important than the social cred. You need both, but you need this first. You need the soul, because even if all that dies away and people know you, they'll still come around to you.
Yeah, I agree. And as a matter of fact, like talking about Grant Cardone, he started with 0 followers like we did like a couple of years ago. And then it was using using the Instagram, he was using the Clubhouse, he was using all of those tools.
Were you on Clubhouse?
I am on Clubhouse.
Oh, yeah,
Not big on that.
Yeah, I was huge on. I blew up on Clubhouse. I had my first hater on there.
Wow.
Yeah, he made me a lot of money, man. When people start hating on you and they start giving you free press, Jeff the Entrepreneur, man, I don't know that kid. And it was back when, I can say it now, but I was literally selling, this is the first time I've said this on a podcast. I was back selling windows bartending, coaching on the side. I didn't want to like say all that, right? And I'll admit, that time, I definitely did try and be more than I was. I wasn't that, but I was already getting exhausted in all these names. There was Grant Cardone and Les Brown, Brian Tracy, and me on a room with a backwards hat and a hoodie. Because I knew how to break down copy, one skill set, okay? People would revere and refer me all the time. I still remember someone giving me a shout out, hey, because of Jeff, I made 16K on my funnel in front of everybody. And everybody's like, who's this Jeff the Entrepreneur guy, right? So that's what I was like, I knew I have something. I went to an event, it was a Clubhouse event, didn't speak at it. Guy comes, All World Communications founder, Brian, catches COVID, calls me, this is when COVID was big, calls me and goes, hey man, I got COVID, I can't come to the event. And I said, okay. I said, well, I really came here for you. We go out to dinner. I go out anyway. I didn't go to the VIP thing, right? I go out to dinner with the guy. He buys all this sushi stuff, everything. I think Tony R was there too. Buys me all this stuff and he's trying to recruit me into his business. I thought I was a sales guy. I didn't know. I knew he was trying to recruit me. And he's like, I could hire Brendan Kane. Brendan Kane wrote the book 1 Million Followers, right? I read it. And I'm like, well, then hire him, right? But next thing you know, that's one of the guys who flew me out and we went out and we're on Beverly Hills rooftop, kind of something like this. And I shook his hand and that's when we started doing consulting. That's really what the birth of Change Life Consulting is.
That's great.
But it was insane that it happened all because of Clubhouse, right? And me just helping value. And by the way, my Instagram didn't look great. I had like 11,000 followers at the time. I went from 11,023. I did buy some followers. I don't suggest doing that, especially because it does it. But I bought them from 8K to 10K to get the swipe up feature when that was a thing. And then Instagram changed. I do love Instagram. It's probably one of my favorite platforms. I want to figure out the Twitter game, X. I don't know it, but I love what Elon's doing over there. But all the platforms I love, man, they're all free ways to market yourself. Get on all of them, where it is, and then hire specialists. June's a specialist on YouTube and Instagram, right? So then we bring on specialists. We'll bring out maybe Leah Haleburn. She knows a little bit about Twitter. We'll get her on Twitter. You know who that is?
No.
She's anti-establishment. She's cool. She might be a future wife. Who knows?
All right. Let's do that.
Maybe not.
I'm doing some consulting with him on wife and...
Oh yeah, that's the one thing I need. I just started investing into relationships. This is the next journey of it. You know, I have my dad saying it's the end of the world. Don't get married. I come here, watch you and your beautiful kid. I'm just like, you know what? Eventually, I'm getting to the point where my foundation's getting strong in the Lord. My foundation in the business is catching waves. So now adding on a family or really focusing on internal, not running from relationships. Had no problem in Miami. We walk down here, man. There's chemistry, but I'd always do a stiff arm for a connection because I didn't want to allow anybody in.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it will come real time that you want to dedicate for that.
Yeah, I just give it to God,
Yeah.
So.
But put it there, it's beautiful also. What I'm doing is not just for myself anymore. It's for them. It's for my kids, what they're growing up and what I'm gonna leave it as a legacy for them.
I get that because right now I still send money back home to my dad. I love my dad. I was telling it before. My dad was part of the reason why I stayed in Connecticut a little bit longer. And yeah, my sister, she called me about money the other day and I was able to help her out. Right? It inspired me to do that. So yeah, I do take care of that family back in. It's funny because I still feel like I'm taking care of that family. I got to take care of both, right? I mean, I'm sure you probably are there too, right? A lot of it, I think it is all family. And no, I always think of that because I taught at a Behavioral Middle School with foster kids, right? And they didn't have a family. So a lot of people don't have families and it really messes you if you don't. If you have it, you want to take care of it. Maybe you have a dysfunctional family. We all do. But really getting into a group or tribe or community like, Construction Futures and having that as a family. I feel like my Change Life Consulting is all family now, right? Yeah. And a lot of times, that's why everything gets up as community, right? Community is key, right? And it's what community, and by knowing yourself and what community you want, it's funny. I used to go to events and I used to look at all people that they were a little different, right? But you come to a business event with all of us, we look a little different, right? The gaming events, that's their community, right? The whole, and I used to be a gamer. So it's so funny how as you grow, as you mature, you're still so much the same, that little kid inside. So not being afraid to be more of that will make all the difference in the world.
That's great. I love that. Great tips. and great things about community and growing together. And again, this Constructing Future podcast is about entrepreneurs that they want to grow together, that they don't want to be lonely because it's a lonely journey. I know you're busy. I'm going to wrap it up because you need to go to your next call.
Because I don't have a wife, yeah.
It was again a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Yes.
Your host, Davide Nicco. This is Jeff, the entrepreneur.
Jeff J. Cunningham. We're rebranding. Jeff the Entrepreneur was like, that was punchy to be like that, but it's fine. But yeah, Jeff the Entrepreneur, you can follow me on socials.
Social media.
Love that as well.
Changing Life Consulting.
Yeah,
great guys. If you need some advice for marketing, this is the guy that you need to follow.
Our whole team, not just me, okay? Our whole team. That's the biggest thing. Everyone wants me, which is great. That's built me up to a good value. But I want it to be more my team than just
That's
me.
great.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm the same. I'm about people.
Yeah.
And if you have a company that want to grow and scale in construction business and go from 1 million to 15 million, I'm the guy. So Gaspi Consulting as well. I'm your host. And
I'll say it right here. Check out Gaspi Consulting. This guy's breaking down more stuff that I know certain construction companies I've worked with. It's unbelievable too. I'm so proud to see you with what you do in your heart to help, because that's what it takes to be a consultant.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. And I see you guys on the next episode. Let's go.
Let's go. Perfect.
Amazing.
Awesome, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're great.